All right, we're continuing along with our two card review. Still on Drax. No, not Drax. I looked at a picture of Drax. It's not Drax. Still on Groot's protection deck that comes in the Guardians Most Wanted box. So we're gonna be going through two cards. One I like. One I like both of them. I think they're interesting cards. So you gotta kind of make them work a certain way. But I think they're both interesting cards. So excited to go through this. Once again, if you haven't done it yet, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Let me know your thoughts about these cards, and let us check them out. Now it is Wednesday, and hopefully you've been watching the rest of these videos, and you know, hey, D20 has a podcast. The podcast is really good. It's like this, and I'm gonna go subscribe on my favorite podcast platform and listen to all his podcasts. Go do the thing. I really appreciate it. I don't need to remind you once again. It's Wednesday, right? We don't need this right now. Also, if you want to join this channel as a YouTube member and support this channel, it starts off at 99 cents. It supports this channel greatly, so I really appreciate it. Or you can go over to patreon.com/D20 Woodworking. All right, first card we got to talk about is Fighting Fit. This is why I said Drax. So it's got a picture of Drax on it. It's all Drax. And I was like, oh, it's Drax I'm talking about. It's not Drax I'm talking about. It's the group pack. Anyway, Fighting Fit is a protection event, 2-cost event. It's an attack card. Hero action attack, deal 2 damage to the villain. Terrible. Don't do that. But you can deal 5 damage instead if your hero's remaining hit points are equal to or greater than your hero's starting hit points. Now, it's interesting with the starting hit point thing because this causes a lot of confusion in the campaign. I think what they mean is the printed hit points on the hero card because I think they've changed the wording around in the future. And maybe they made a ruling on it that was really weird. They're like, no, we actually do mean your starting hit points. I just do printed nowadays. It's just easier for me to mentally think about it instead of if you're doing campaigns. If you're not doing expert campaigns, that doesn't make a difference. And you're like, whatever. It always starts at, full amount, whatever. But yeah, so 2 for 5 damage, really good, right? It's like it's especially for protection, it's really good. And if you're doing a perfect defense build, right, you should have full life. Now, a lot of times I will run this card with an endurance, or if I'm playing a hero that gets plus, X health, this card would also be really good for that hero because you're staying over your original amount. So, for example, let's just take I don't know, some random hero, Captain America. What does he have? I don't know Captain America well enough. Just whatever. Groot has 10 life, right? We'll do Groot. Groot has 10 life. Now, if you add an endurance onto Groot, right, so he's up to 13, and he goes down to 11 at a 13, he is still equal to or greater than his starting hit points at 11. Even though he took 2 damage, he's still higher than that. I know that confuses some people because they think like, oh no, it should be whatever the new amount is. It is not. It's literally just think of it as the printed hit points on the hero card. I think that's the easiest way to look at it. Not necessarily your starting hit points or anything like that. Because sometimes they're like, well, what, starting from when? Starting from the attack, starting from this round, starting from this phase, starting from the game, right? Like, I get the confusion. So it's just look at it as printed. I think if you run endurance or your hero, like you run a Thor where he gets like plus X amount of life, or Valkyrie gets plus like 4 life or whatever it may be. If you're running a hero like that in protection, card makes some sense. If you're running endurance, card makes some sense, right? Like cards like that will help Fighting Fit. If you're not doing any of that, I don't know if I would run Fighting Fit because I'm probably going to take a little bit of damage. Like there are times when I'm building out protection and not everything is lined up perfectly, where I have like, let's just say my normal life is 10 and I'm at 8, right? But I'm at perfect defense levels now, so I'm just going to set 8 life for the rest of the time. Well, that makes all my Fighting Fit cards useless, where now I have to flip down and I have to, I don't know, heal back up to full health of 2, right? 1 or 2 to flip back up. Well, now the main scheme has a ton more. Protection's not great at the main scheme, so you kind of have to like make sure that you plan around this card a bit. It's also interesting because I don't know if it makes a 100% sense for multiplayer. Like 4-player multiplayer, I don't think this makes sense because your aggression players should just be doing enough damage. And maybe it does. Maybe it does for your table. But generally speaking, I want it. In solo, it makes a lot of sense. 2-player, maybe it can if you're playing protection and leadership, or protection and justice, right? Protection and aggression, probably not. So it kind of depends on that. That way, is your protection player more aggressive? Because we have now hit a phase. Well, I guess we're a little past that phase now. There were a lot of protection cards that were basically very aggressive cards, right? They were very attack heavy cards. They allowed you to ready up. They allowed you to deal damage, whatever it may be. There was a lot of those cards for a little while. So Fighting Fit kind of fits that mold and whatever. So anyway, long story short. Do I like the Fighting Fit? Yeah. Do I play it a ton? Yeah. I also don't play protection a ton. So my view is always gonna be a little skewed on it. But I like the idea of the card. I think it's cool. Again, if you run endurance, if you run those certain things, I get it with Groot too because he has the Groot counters, but I don't want them to get touched. So I got other problems I got to worry about with Groot. Or if you have a lot of chump blockers, right? If you have a lot of chump blockers with no overkill, you should be fine there too. All right, so next card we got to talk about is Dauntless. It's also a protection card, 1 cost upgrade. Does not have a unique symbol, just FYI, but you do play under any player's control, max 1 per player. So while your hero's remaining hit points are equal to or greater than your hero's starting hit points, your hero gains retaliate 1. Again, this is fighting fit basically, but as an upgrade you get retaliate. If you're doing perfect defense or a perfect protection build, yeah, you should play this card. You should 100% play this card with electrostatic armor and flow like water and all the cards that let you do lots of stuff when you're defending. Play this card, right? You want to get hit with this card. So I like it. I like the card. I think it's cool. Again, you have to be like a perfect protection build where you're, again, not planning to take any hits and hopefully running like an endurance or something. If you're worried about your build, like, like if you're playing against Ronin, and Ronin might swing for 8, and it's really hard to defend against 8, it's probably not going to happen. So being able to be prepared for that if you take some damage or whatever, like again, run endurance, run the other life upgrades that will help you out. But I like this card. I think it's a good card. Again, you have to kind of plan around it and figure it out. It's nice to play under other players' control, but I feel like a lot of other players are probably not defending. So they're going to get hit once and then get retaliated, but then they lose Dauntless because it's only when their life is at full amounts or, above, and it won't be because they got hit because they're not protection. So like Dauntless feels really weird putting it on other players, but on your hero as per protection, I think it makes sense. I think it's a pretty good, a pretty solid card, and a pretty solid option. So as usual, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about Fighting Fit and Dauntless. Like I said, I use Dauntless a lot more than I use Fighting Fit for sure. But I like both. I think both are decent options, and they definitely have a place in a lot of decks that I make. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know how you feel about it, what you play, what you enjoy, and is there any cool Fighting Fit builds that you do? Anything interesting with Dauntless? I think Dauntless again works a lot in solo and multiplayer. I think it's a good card for all of that. Fighting Fit. Again, I think it depends on what you're trying to do. I think it depends what your teammate's trying to do. If you're playing a 4-player game, I don't really see it. Like, again, let the aggression player and the leadership player kind of do their thing and take over the game for damage wise. So, anyway, just my thoughts. Like I said, let me know down below. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Let me know if you're not getting your notifications, because I might have to talk to YouTube about that, because there's been some talk about that with content creators. But let me know if you are or you're not. And I really appreciate the support, and I will see you all next time.